Today's episode is sponsored by Billy Keel's Advisory Services. If you want to learn more about how to make your 99 optional, just go to makeitoptional.com. Once again, that's makeitoptional.com.
Helping you build freedom without losing your edge. This is the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels.
One of the things that I love about hosting this podcast is I get to meet so many amazing, impactful global leaders. And today is no different. I cannot wait for you all to meet this guy. He's absolutely amazing because, there are early moments in your corporate success that can definitely craft the path to help you build your own dream. Today's guest is no different. You know why? Because, he actually began his corporate career in the area of asset management for one of the world's largest consultancies. And I'm sure he's going to tell you about that. And he has actually taken so much of that experience, as well as experience in other consulting, sales, trading, investing, and investment banking. He's going to tell you all about that. But the really cool thing is he's actually taken so many of those skills and disciplines, and he is now leveraging it so that he can go out and be the leader, his company, the leader in automation platform, serving professionals and others. And he's going to tell you more about that. But it gives me great pleasure to welcome to today's conversation the CEO and co-founder of MYCOlive, Mr. Mani Yanika. Mani, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, hi, Billy. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. So I'm looking forward to share my experience with our listeners.
Yeah, man, I definitely am. And you can tell I get so excited that I'm like, okay, but I just mispronounced your name. So sorry about that. Mr. Mani Yanika, as we all know, I'm a real person. This is how I like to get down, as we say. So Mani, I have shared a bit of your story. But what I would love for you to do is share more of your story in your own words. And then basically what we'll do is we'll see kind of where you and I take the conversation from there. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Okay. Over to you. All right. Please share.
So my name is Mani Yanika. I was born in the Congo in Africa. I left when I was 9 years old to Belgium, where I grew up till the age of 16. Then I moved to the UK, where basically I spent almost 20 years of my life studying in the UK and working in and out of the UK. So I started my career in management consulting for EY before moving into oil and gas trading and then investment banking. So I've done my master's, my MBA. That's how I joined JP Morgan Investment Banking, where basically I was working for the Chief Investment Office, responsible for looking at new projects, new markets, new investments that we were doing for the bank. So that also includes looking at our technology stack. How do we do business, basically, looking at the risk, looking at pretty much everything across, not just trading, but across business development. So with that, I learned a lot about how you interact with all sorts of stakeholders. I learned a lot about risk. I learned a lot about the market and so on. And then fast forward, I started doing something on the side of my corporate career. So it was not like I wanted to go and then become this big entrepreneur or something like that. No. I just wanted to do something that I was passionate about alongside my work, because I knew that one day, maybe I won't be there anymore, at the corporates. Maybe I need to get ready now. So it started very small. I was just investing on the side for actually 2 or 3 years before I decided to actually go full on, because I saw it growing. And that's it. So how do you want me to continue? I mean, feel free to ask me any questions along the way.
Yeah, man. So there's a lot of there's a number of different things that come to mind. But you mentioned early on, right? You had this idea that you wanted to do something else, and for so many people, so many of our listeners and our viewers, there is this security that we believe we have, that we feel when we're in corporate because we have the great title, we have this identity that is a part of what we're doing. And at the same time, there is this constant risk factor. So you talked about managing and mitigating risk. What was the process for you, or how did you feel actually knowing that you were successful because you worked with market leading companies, always having very high titles, and at the same time you had this desire to do something else? And for sometimes people, especially when you're in these high paid positions, you feel like you're cheating on your employer. Did you ever go through that? And if so, what did that feel like, having this big title and then also wanting to do something outside of your core role?
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. For me, the key thing was always to have a plan B, like
Mm,
later on, in life. It
mm,
could be 10 years from now, five
yeah,
years from now. I didn't have a specific timeline. It was just
mm,
like, okay, working is great, but what else? What else is there out there? In my free time, what else can I do? So for
mm,
me, it was just an experience that I have lived myself as
mhm,
a international student
mm,
before actually starting my corporate career. I found this huge problem of finding accommodation when you are abroad,
mm,
being a huge pain, and that pain stayed in my mind. So when I
mm,
started the side gig, I started off as an investor.
mm,
Actually, many people have investments in real estate, but also many people tend to do the same thing. So for
mm,
me, it was like, okay, can I do something different? Still part of the investment world while I
yeah,
keep working. And the one thing that I wanted to do was to solve the problem that I faced when I was an international student. So I started investing in that specific asset class, which is co-living. It was very small back then. And my idea back then was not even to build a platform at that
mm,
stage. It was simply to do something nice, accommodation that can cater young professionals, students, and so on and so on. As I started, it started to take off. And
mm,
then I was like, okay, maybe what if I do this? What if I do that? And slowly, I never anticipated to do something big at the moment when I was
mm,
working. It was more like a hobby. People have hobbies, so you go, you play golf, or you do something. For me, it
mm.
was doing that side gig on the side. That's what really drove me to start doing something.
Yeah, I love how you talk about that, because it is really you can have these moments where you want to use your additional energy, because nobody works 24 hours a day. It just doesn't happen. But you're using your time,
Exactly.
you're using your energy to go to the gym, or maybe to run, or maybe to cook, or whatever the case may be. You're using that additional time to do something that fills your emotional cup. You mentioned something that you were never looking to build a business. You were just wanting to solve your own problem. And this
Yes.
was your own problem that stayed with you, and you thought, how can I figure this out? One of the things that I see working with clients very frequently is that there's usually something in life that begins to change when you start to say, okay, now is the moment that I actually want to figure out this plan B, as you talked about, or solving this particular problem that maybe you happen. Was there any a particular event that happened in your life when this plan B became more relevant for you to start
Yes.
to take action? And maybe
Absolutely.
if so, can you talk about that? Because it's
Yes.
something I see a lot with clients.
Yes. Absolutely. So for me, was I worked at this big corporate, and then I was headhunted to go into a startup, to lead client relationships for banks.
Mm-hmm.
And that startup had a big vision, basically, and that big vision uh, meant that they needed to raise a lot of money in one go.
Mm-hmm.
And the solution that we were doing was to help many banks, but with one solution where that solution will be shared across banks. So it's a bit like you are competing with someone, but you are using the same tool to compete against each other.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. It's
Yeah.
not every banks are friends.
Mm-hmm.
So they were looking to raise 100 million, and they never managed to do so. So one day in the morning, we got called into their office, we were really highly paid. We were a bunch of 20 bankers, like really highly paid. I was even more paid than the big names.
Yeah.
We were called in at 8 o'clock in the morning and let go. Literally, like 8 o'clock in the morning, they call us and say, "Hey, sorry guys, but we couldn't raise enough money. We ran out of cash, so we cannot pay you anymore. So we need to change direction. We gotta let you go." That was the moment that things changed for me. So I had the chance to either go back to investment banking world with the likes of JP Morgan, because it's the one bank that I really, really enjoyed working at, or build my own thing, or go to a technology company. So I had these options. You know, I've applied for a number of jobs. I mean, not too many, because I really knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I've applied for 3 companies actually. JP Morgan to go back, but I wanted to create my own job.
Yeah.
You know, and then one at Amazon and one at Salesforce. I've succeeded. I had 8 interviews at Salesforce. I had a number of interviews at Amazon, but that's when I realized also at the end, I was not successful. I didn't get a job after 8 interviews. I was like, how is that possible? That I met every single senior leaders out there, and I had 8 interviews, only to fall short. Something is wrong with me, you know. I thought that I had a problem or something. And then I go offer something to go back at JP Morgan, but it was a bit like I felt it'd be like going back, not progressing. It's a bit like you're going back to what you used to do, you know. Like we all have this kind of feeling, like you feel like you're a loser, you lost something, you know. And this is one thing I didn't want to do. I didn't want to go back to what I used to do, because I didn't want that feeling, you know. And then after I got rejected at Salesforce and Amazon, that was the moment that I realized that, hold on a second, I've been investing on the side already. He's doing well. Why I don't give it a go? And a partner told me at that time, like, hey, you know, you're making more money actually than working. And I did not realize, because I wasn't doing it to make a lot of money. I was doing it because I wanted to solve a problem and I was passionate about it. And once she made me realize, you're actually making very good living. So why do you need to go back to work? Actually, focus on this. This is your future in a way. So that's how you can build a business. So from that moment, and also my partner is a lawyer and Hungarian, that's how we started the business in Budapest. So we were based in London. I was working in the city in London, and then we moved from London. My son at that time was 3 months old when I got let go. And my partner was studying a master's in law. So not really actively working. She was like on a break while I was the one bringing in money at home. So when the money kind of stopped, I panicked a little bit. I was like, oh, hold on a second. You know, you have a little baby right there, 3 months old. You have a partner. You need to do something. But then when she made me realize, wow, you already have this. Well, you know, focus on that. Let's move to Budapest, because that's where I was doing my side gig. I started off in London, but I saw a big opportunity there because the cost to enter the market was cheaper than big cities like Paris, like London, like Barcelona, or New York. You know, it was just so the risk was worth it, because you could afford to not succeed and still manage to somehow to get by. You know, that's how I decided to focus a little bit more on that. So that moment of me failing to secure like another corporate role, that was the turning point for me. Actually, I was like, you know, let's go and do this. And from that moment, I spent literally almost 2 years building out the business before launching it, because before it was not really a business; it was more like a side gig. You know, I was doing it. I didn't have a company, none of this. So I had to learn all this: get an accountant, get a company, structure, you know, everything. To become a business.
I'm smiling because this is one of the things, Mani. I originally started my first business because I went through a pain of missing my son's third birthday party. And that was the thing. I was just wanting to have more agency, have more ability to control income, even though I was earning a lot more than especially people where I was living, right? It was just like not even comparable. At the same time, I hear what you're saying is that you had already started this because you were wanting to solve your own problem. You had two major events that I would say were happening. So you have a very young 3-month-old, and at the same time, you were being told that it was all the work that you had been doing, it was no longer valued because the money ran out. And so you had these two very, I would say, emotionally impactful things happen for you, right? They happened to you in the moment. You probably realize now there was a reason for that. It's hard to see it in the moment. And as a result, you went through your process, and then you realized that this was, you listening to others said, okay, this is the moment to take this and move this forward. So I'm just curious also too, because you mentioned earlier, like, I'm a big believer. Like I am someone who I'm a fan of corporate because I invested 26 years of my life there. I learned a lot. I gave a lot. And at the same time, I realized that there is also life beyond corporate. And there's a lot of skill sets, and there's a lot of things that, especially when you are very good and you're a high achieving corporate executive, that you can then use those same skills because you don't think about it. You think that they can only be used inside of the corporate walls while you're there. But when you decide you want to do something else, they can also serve you. And I'm just curious how that exposure that you had early days, like in the energy and finance, how that also is influencing, or even the sales discipline, how those things are actually now influencing the way that you have not just built your corporate, your company vision, your enterprise vision, but how it actually is helping you go out day to day to make your company even more successful.
A lot. So one of the skill that I learned, during my corporate career was being able to work with people from different disciplines. So whether it's you're working with someone in technology, or someone in risk, or someone in sales, and from different region, you work at large corporate. So I had to deal with people from the US, in Europe, you had Asia, different region. So that really helped because setting up my company, when we were building the platform, I had to work with developers who were based in California and India, and me being based in Europe. So the time zone difference, crazy, right? So that really helps. And another thing that really helped and continue to serve me today is communication skills. A lot of people, tend to undervalue these skills, but to be honest with you, it's probably one of the most important skills today is how you come across, how you communicate, how you convince people. Because I could not do this alone. Started off as a side gig, I was alone. But when I decided to turn that into a business, I had to seek outside help. And that comes in form of investments. That's how you raise money. You get the right investors with you. And so these things really, really helped. Like the experience that I learned helped me to go out there, build the confidence in order to go and talk to people and tell them about what I was working on, and not be ashamed of rejection, because a lot of people will always tell you, oh, well, what you're doing is not good, or other people will do it, or, whatever. But the one thing you need to always remember is believe in yourself. So that confidence, working in corporate, you had to be confident because you had to present. You remember this slide, you had to present in front of people. So presentation skills really, really help a lot. And how to manage conflict as well, because you could have conflicts in projects. So you had your idea, like, hey, let's do this. Someone else in your team may have had a different ways of doing something. So conflicting agendas. So that really helps because building a team. Now I'm kind of the manager that people look up to, And when I see my subordinates, I try to guide them in a way to work together. And I see conflict. I see this all the time. And I cannot step in to make sure that people understand the big vision. So the strategic vision, where we're going.
Yeah.
So regardless of small internal conflicts.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have a lot of examples that I can tell you, but this is for me.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think those, those examples and whether it is looking at leading teams, managing conflict, working across different departments, different regions, in those communication skills, those interpersonal skills, those are always extremely valuable. And also you use a really great analogy when you are there, you're thinking about you're presenting, you are presenting in the rooms, in the boardrooms, or in just inner meetings, client meetings. But those are the same skill sets that you're using when you are now selling your vision or presenting your vision to others. And whether that is in clients or customers or investors, there's so many different ways that you can leverage those same skills. So there's this other thing. So thanks for sharing that. So I've talked to clients as well. Sometimes people are going through and they're saying, "Hey, listen, you know what? I'm gonna do that, but I have to wait until I close the quarter, or I have to wait until the next fiscal year, or I have to wait until I have this amount of money in the bank, or I have to wait until to start doing your side business." Now, I think if memory serves me correctly, when you started your actual business, because it went from a plan to actually starting your business, all of the conditions for you were perfect, right? For your business model. I mean, you were starting during a global pandemic and everything was just perfect, correct? Or did I misunderstand that?
No. I mean, everything was perfect until it wasn't.
Yeah. There you go. That's it. And so this is what I really want everyone to understand. So Mani, thank you for that. Is what Mani is getting ready to explain to you, especially for his business. Everything, you're always waiting for things to be perfect until they're no longer perfect. So
exactly. So just imagine you leave your corporate career. For me, it was in 2018, and we launched the business in 2020. So that's 2 years in between. So during these 2 years, I was planning moving my family abroad and setting up the business. Like the jurisdiction, the registration, the tax, all the stuff. It takes time, So and then, boom, you have the pandemic that happens. So all the plans that we had in mind kind of go knocked. But for me, it was also a moment to show that, you know what, everyone is preoccupied with the pandemic. So no one cares if you fail. Literally, no one cares. That's what really got me going.
Yeah.
So we started building the platform, MYCOlive app. And we were not even 50% ready, not even. But we still launched it because I didn't want it to be perfect. I was like, because the world is so imperfect right now, everyone is preoccupied with their own life. So therefore, I can learn from the fact that it's not perfect, So we launched it in August 2020. Not being perfect, but we got a lot of feedback as we go. It was very hard because, the revenue that we were planning to get for the year one was not even half of that because of the pandemic. But at the same time, as I said, it was a test of can you keep going when you have a shock?
Yeah.
Do you give up before you even start? All of these things. And then I was like, no, we can't give up. We need to do it because this is is your proof of concept live.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than putting a real life scenario rather than on paper. So we did it. And it was a bit shaky. 6 months later, we doubled. And then it started growing. I mean, we've grown every year since then and profitable. We've been very profitable from the first year, actually, So I'm thankful to that.
Mhm.
the fact that we didn't give up, and the fact that these global events kind of shaped the way we see things.
Yeah.
Risk, I'm a little bit of a risk freak. I
Yeah.
always look at, what happens if we don't do this?
Mhm.
What happens if we do this? And then what happens if this event is happening? How is it going to impact us? What happens if we
Yeah.
go to this new market? How do we go to this new market? The cost, how is it going to impact our revenue, our current revenue?
Yeah.
And how is it going to impact our runaway? Because we are a sustainable growth startup. For
Mhm.
those who don't know what it means that we are self-sufficient.
Yep.
That's what it means. We don't need external funding to survive. So, we hear a lot about unicorns, about, startups like 1 billion valuation, but all this is on paper.
Yeah.
But we don't hear enough about sustainable growth startups. Like, how do you keep going and how do you become self-sufficient at first place?
Yeah.
And for me, it was about discipline,
Yeah.
and the discipline that we had to go through the pandemic helped us shape literally how we execute on our operation forward. Every single market that we go, we have what we call like unit economics. We look
Mhm.
at how much profit you will make per additional business.
Yeah.
We don't look at it like, hey, we're gonna start making money in 5 years. No, 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 no. We need to survive right now. Can we afford to lose money for 1 year? All of these things.
Yeah. These are part of first of all, everything is perfect until it's not. And
Yeah.
so, regardless of what happens, it is, this is one of the things I talk a lot about. And, you have to be really clear on what it is that you want to do and why you want to do it. Because not if, but when things don't go according to plan, if you are not crystal clear about what it is that you're doing and more importantly, why you're doing it, it's the moment that the proof of concept collapses. And
Yes.
so you have to be clear on what happens. And also one of the things that I've noticed, Money, that you do very uniquely in the marketplace, you talk about profitable. I also talk a lot about, it's not just building a business on the side, it's building a profitable side business. It's not about how much money that you're making, it's how much you're actually keeping. That's more
Yeah.
important. But you also do something that I find to be very unique in that you're not afraid to share publicly the results that you're doing. And so it's something that most people don't do. Can you talk to me about the mindset that you have in terms of what is the just the mindset and the motivation for being able to share publicly what the results look like?
Yeah, sure. So for me, first of all, I'm not against companies who are not sustainable.
Mhm.
I'm not against VCs either.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to share my experience to show that they are not only one way.
Yeah.
What we always read, like when you watch the news or the media, whatever it is, it's not always what you see. There are also stories in the back.
Yeah.
And for me, because there is not enough coverage of sustainable growth companies who are growing sustainably. So they're not looking for 10 times growth in 2 years.
Yeah.
No, they're growing sustainably. There is not much coverage. You can go on LinkedIn. You don't really hear stories like this at all. And that's the reason why I decided to dedicate my own profile or whatever I post about being authentic.
Yeah.
So if we lose, that's it, we lose. If we make, we make. But this is the process, how we're
Mhm.
getting there. So it's not to show off or anything like that. It's more to show people that it's not always about the big millions that people read about.
Mhm.
Sometimes the small wins can
Mhm.
actually have a bigger impact
Yeah.
in you, in your confidence, in your company, your colleagues, and so on and so on, and maybe motivate others. I'm trying to motivate others because some people, like you say, they're scared or they're afraid to share something because they feel like they don't belong to this
Yeah.
whole big media that we all hear about because it's different. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's slightly different. Don't be afraid. There are other people like you out there afraid to come up
Yeah.
with a new idea, with a new project, or simply afraid to communicate about what they're working on because they don't want to be judged or something. I don't think you should, be afraid because people have their own life. And maybe
Mm.
some of these people sharing all these big stories, they also have struggles like we all do. You
Yeah.
see what I mean? But they don't know about that.
Anyone who has everything perfect all the time, just be wary, because it's probably not
Exactly.
that. It's probably not that. So
It's not.
I have another thing for you, Money, just to understand. So you've had this corporate experience, and you've had different areas,
Mhm.
consultancy, you've had financial services background, you've had sales, you've had risk, you've had a number of different disciplines, different geographies that you've managed in, that you've led in. And
Yeah,
that's taking you now to MYCOlive. Could you just maybe like in, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute? I talked about it in the very beginning, but I really would love for the Going Long family to understand who MYCOlive is actually serving
sure.
today, so that we have a better understanding of how you've taken all
Yeah,
this corporate experience and led to your own vision to help solve a problem that you were having early on in life.
sure. So, my colleague, what we do is that we're building a network, a bit like a franchising network
Mm-hmm.
of rooms, like accommodation to
Mm-hmm.
cater professional, young professional, international students. But we also have some families as well. So the idea was to build a platform that will serve, that people will recognize. Think about it like a hotel chain.
Mm-hmm.
So if you book Ibis Hotel, the Hilton Hotel, you know what you are getting,
Yeah.
because the franchise is a network, is not owned by one single person, it's a group
Mm-hmm.
of owners, the same thing. So MyColive is the platform that power that network. So that platform does three things. One, it enables people to book accommodation, whether it's a room or an apartment. The second thing is it enables operators to automate their processes. Things
Mm-hmm.
like check-in, check-out, cleaning, maintenance, rental agreements. All these are all automated.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third thing is we enable investors and owners to be part of the network without them being active into it, like a franchise. So because we are handling everything on their behalf through automation,
Mm-hmm.
so this is how we are growing, actually. So we'll always look for partners. So you rightly say earlier, we are now in our third country, which is Egypt. We are
Wow.
launching Egypt. We already have two properties there. So if anyone wants to go
Awesome.
to Egypt, check my colleague. And I'm actually going on Sunday to meet a VC who are interested in us because they've invested quite a lot of money in Egypt and
Mm-hmm.
they want to optimize it through a kind of franchising network and they want to see how we can help them.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we are also kind of, as you grow, you kind of adapt
Yeah.
with the plan,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so because it's not always black and white.
No.
So the idea is to keep flexible, to stay lean,
Yeah.
and then wherever the opportunities are, go for it. But always look at how is that going to impact your current business,
Yeah. No.
because you don't want to grow too fast or too big and then end up neglecting what made you what you are today,
Yeah.
basically. So everything I do, I always look at this.
All right. Well,
Always.
I appreciate you sharing that, and of course, everyone, there's going to be links in the in the show notes. But one thing that I do want to ask you, just really quickly, Money, is, and it's just sharing an experience, and I'd love for you to share with the Going Long family.
So
It's really one sentence. For many years, I always think things always happen positively. Like I kind of life always happened like in the ideal way. And there was a moment in life where kind of two major things happened for me. And it helped me to realize like there are moments in life when things are going really, really well. You notice things are going well, but you don't really think about it because things are going well. But when things are not going well, there can be a tendency to think this is going on forever. Nothing is going to change. No matter who tells you anything, it's just like you feel like it goes on forever and it's really, really difficult. Well, I know that no matter what number of friends poured into me and they told me that, hey, listen, you can do this and you'll get over this, all of those things helped. but I never made the actual mental switch until I started looking myself in the mirror to help me get through those really, really, really difficult times. And it was a matter of me sending a message to myself. And it was in that moment that things began to change, because I thought it, I lived it, and then I started to put it in action. And so knowing that, I'd like for you to think of Mani 3 years from now, and you're looking back to Mani today. And what's the one message that you know you need to leave for yourself today that is going to help you get through those difficult moments that are going to happen between now and the next 3 years so that you can continue to move forward? What's that one very simple message that you want to leave for yourself?
Transparency. So be transparent. Mm-hmm. So for me, whenever I face challenges, I'm always transparent. I call my clients, the investors, and I tell them that, hey, this is the challenge that we're facing. Yeah. So, but these are the actions that I'm going to make to kind of go through these challenges. So I'm very, very transparent. This is one thing that really helps me personally. I'm transparent with my team when we're facing challenges, so they understand and they all kind of work towards overcoming this challenge. Yeah. So one thing that happened to me, like one event, which I think the listeners might be interested in this, is early on when we launched MYCOlive, like not even 2 years in, I had an investor who was pushing me, putting a lot of pressure to grow faster. Like, hey, and then he was always criticizing the moves, like if we do this way, it's like criticizing. And then we had the first investor meeting. It was in Paris. And then the guy was criticizing me. And then I said to him, like, look, we cannot grow faster because it's too risky. If we follow the way you want to go, we need to raise a lot of money. And nothing guarantees that this is going to succeed. So therefore, we need, in my honest opinion, we need to do it this way. And then I said, plus you are an investor. You are not my boss to tell me what we should do. You should support me. That's what an investor should do. And you know what he responded? Yes, I am your boss. So I felt like that moment, it was a wake-up call. The investor is not always by your side. He's not always your friend. He's there looking at his interest. So therefore, you need to be careful to protect your vision, because it's very easy to derail, to go off topic, to go off your plan, and then end up doing like a lot of things just to please the investor. So what I did is I ended up buying back my shares from the investor. And then today, we are where we are today.
I love that. So be transparent, number one. And this is also one of the benefits that a lot of people don't talk about, is that when you are managing and leading your own business, that you can, and it's one of the things that I really enjoy, is you are able to surround yourself with the people that provide you with the most positive energy and that are there in the fashion that you really want to do. So in the way that you want to, have life lived. So all these things are so awesome. And I cannot believe, Mani, that these conversations fly by so fast. Cause like, I'm thinking at the very beginning of the conversation, like you're talking to us about being born in the Congo, and then you moved and you're living in Belgium, and then you spent a long time in the UK, and all of these different places helped you to recognize, okay, well, what are some of the different things that you wanted to be able to do? You then, as you had these different life experiences, as you got into your, what I like to call your corporate lifestyle, you start realizing that you were gauging risk constantly. It's something that you enjoyed to gauge, not just financial risk, even stakeholder risk. And you started to recognize, like, hey, this life event happened for me and a bunch of other people when we got called into an office at 8 a.m. and I had a 3-month-old, and all of a sudden they said, hey, look, your services are no longer needed. You recognize that plan B that you'd been thinking about was a really good thing. And so as that plan B happened and you recognized, and you had someone say, hey, you know what, this plan B that you started years ago how about rather than going for the roles at the 3 different companies that you talked about, and 2 of which you didn't get the role, and you went through 8 interviews and you started going, well, hang on a second, I used all this time. The 3rd company, you got the interview, but you didn't want to go back to something that you'd already done. So it was time to lean into the side hustle that you started, which is now the side business. And you recognize all of these different disciplines, and whether it was in tech, whether it was in sales, whether it was in risk, whether it was in managing businesses across different regions, whether it was India, whether it was then in the US or being in Europe, you recognize that at the end of the day, you could leverage all of these different skills, experiences to help to solve a problem that you experienced overall. And that led you to being able to not only be the co-founder and CEO of MYCOlive. It makes also the entire Going Long family say, Billy, just ask him the question so we can find out. So let me ask the question on behalf of the entire Going Long family. What is the best way for us to find out more about you, Mani, more about what you're doing at MYCOlive, so that we can continue to be here and support?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on LinkedIn, for example, because every week I share at least 2 posts about what I'm up to, about what we're doing, and that's how you're going to find out about what MYCOlive is up to in terms of next steps and so on. Okay. And I'm very open, I'm also happy to respond to additional questions and so on. All right. It's okay.
Okay, fantastic. Well, listen, the one thing that I always like to ask, especially when someone says LinkedIn, because I spend a lot of time, or I invest a lot of time over there on LinkedIn myself, but when you reach out to Mani, not if, but when you reach out to him, do yourselves a favor. Make sure that you let Mani know that you've already watched. And if you're not checking out the video version, I can't believe I didn't say this. Like, you should check out the video version. Mani's got on the coolest t-shirt ever. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because you have to go see it. Go check it out. But it'll help you understand a lot more about what he's doing. So just check it out. Check it out for sure. And make sure that you leave him a personalized invitation on LinkedIn. It will help the conversation for everybody just to continue even more. So, Mani, what I would like to do is say thank you on behalf of the entire Going Long family. I want to say thank you so much for deciding to invest your time with me, with us, and sharing a bit more of your story. So thank you very much, Mani. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Listen, Going Long family, go out, make it a great day, and thank you very, very much.